Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is a video of an article that I've got out on fake pigskin. I think I can do a lot better than writing. And so the article has main figures, but I think the depth here requires a video lesson here. So this is key analysis of mid-June FFPC ADP Part 1. I've got 3 coming, or Part 1, 2, and 3. And this is all to help you win your fantasy football drafts, especially if you're on the FFPC platform. This is a high stakes, high dollar platform, lots of money, thousands of dollars. And of course, the people drafting there, the common sense or the thought is that these are the quote professionals and their ADP, how they're drafting is somehow more efficient than the others, ESPN. I can't argue with that. I would probably say a higher proportion of serious people are investing a lot more money than at ESPN or Yahoo, etc. So with that in mind, people do like to see how the professionals are looking at drafting right now. So that's the whole point of this, is using the ADP, current ADP, or fairly current, and going through it and using the information in only the way that I can, the way I look at things, and that's why it's my process. People may use this material differently, but I'm, letting you look and see how I look through it. Okay, so the first thing I like to do when I'm just gathering some type of ADP material is I want to know what teams are viewed highest and lowest as far as, say, power rankings or how good they are being perceived. Remember, this is all ADP. This is projections and predictions, right, of the future. So what I did was I used the ADPs and converted by my process to rankings. And then I took each team's rankings, did an overall team average, and then found the average of those averages, right? It's 51.1, and this is on a scale of 100 highest to 0 lowest. So I believe we intuitively need to think about data in a scale that we're familiar with. It imparts knowledge just looking at it, right? And then the scaled number allows us to see how better a team is than average. Kind of value over position is the same kind of concept, except in this case, this is using ADP from the FFPC website. And so right away, I sorted by highest to lowest. So the top team is Kansas City. They are 78.8, or they're roughly 27.7 above average. So it's a nice bit. They're kind of, if this was a tier system, they would be number 1. Baltimore is number 2 at 70.9, and they're 19.7 above average. So those two stick out. The professionals are expecting many of these players on these teams to really excel and be very high above average. So you would predict the bargains might actually be in some of the depth on these teams. At least that may be how you look at it. The worst teams are bottom, number 1 is Houston, which only gets a 26.6 rating average, and that's 24, minus 24 below average. So it's on the opposite end of Kansas City. I believe the quarterback situation is causing an issue. Detroit, Chicago as well are minus 17 below average, minus 18. So my takeaway would be I would use caution the deeper you go into those poor teams and be a little bit more optimistic about the depth on the better teams. I color-coded the teams. From blue is the best: Kansas City, Baltimore, Miami, Denver, Buffalo, and Atlanta. This is PPR, and it's a tight end premium, so it's 1.5 points per catch instead of 1. So it's a little bit modified PPR if you've never played there. So it values the high-end tight ends actually skewed a little better than you would predict. And the low teams are Jacksonville, New England, the Chargers, Jets, Carolina, Chicago, Detroit, and Houston. And then you've got kind of above average in the light blue and below average the light red. So you can kind of scale the team that way and think about your uncertainty level from bottom upwards here. So I like to kind of start looking at this and just thinking, what are professionals seeing here as a group here? And again, I don't know if they're looking, everyone is looking at the composite like that. To me, again, if you've seen any of my video lessons, I'm high into landscapes and, top-down views here. I love to look at that. So I would tend to draft, above the average versus below the average. If I had to, if there was a choice of, say, wide receiver 2 from Dallas or Detroit, I would go with Dallas. That kind of thing just helps you make decisions if you are in a conundrum. Okay, of course, this is going to change, but right now, this is the state of where things are. And again, I like to just kind of stare at this and think about it. What are the professionals' kind of overall opinions of each team? And I believe this material can capture or will capture that. I like to look at visuals. So I did bar graphs of the scaled, and then I color coded here, and you can see KC and Baltimore way above the crowd here. Here's the third team right here. So you see, wow, big difference in the scale here. And here are the bottom teams here. Okay, you can see those as well. So you can kind of scan. So at some point, it's probably not worth cutting, right? I'll just kind of do a circle. Those are fairly close to each other, being predicted near average. So, at some point you've got to make kind of a call here. You can't somehow think that, for instance, New Orleans is much worse than Pittsburgh at this point. I mean, it's just not the case. Stats only can bring you so far. You do have to apply common sense analysis. But looking at the extremes, I think that does impart some knowledge for us. And again, this is scaled team level rankings based on the FFPC. Again, check out the website there, ADPs, and see what you think. So I like to look at this as well. And you can think of the line at 0 as above and below average of opinion, really. We're talking about opinion because we're projecting into 2021. I also use my process to determine player uncertainty levels, and players that are high in uncertainty versus players that are medium or low. And so you see here the team, high, medium, and low uncertainty, and then the total of the team that's viewed or rated here. So Philadelphia has 10 players rated here. 5 of those, so 50%, right, are thought to be high in uncertainty. 4 of the 10 are medium uncertainty. So that's 9 out of 10 are thought to have high level of uncertainty. What that means, just in a nutshell, is that the scale of performance is broad. In other words, you can have a lot of outcomes from players that have high uncertainty. They can be pretty good, or they can be really in the toilet. A player who's low in uncertainty has a lesser scale. So the confidence, I guess, you can be more confident in lower uncertainty players versus high uncertainty players. With that said, you still have to make picks, and you do have to gamble and make some choices. So I figured out and applied, using my process, which players on each teams are high, medium, or low in uncertainty value, but based on the ADP and from FFPC. And then I sorted from high uncertainty to low. And so what I did was I figured out the percentage of high plus medium players, and I divided that by the low uncertainty players, and I got a number, and that's percentage HM/L. So it's just a way, a tally, a metric to see this data. And you can see that Philadelphia, the Raiders, and Indianapolis are the 3 highest teams in players with uncertainty relative to the lower uncertainty players. So you're tending to take higher gambles with players from those. The opposite are in green: Minnesota, Jacksonville, Seattle, Chargers, and the Jets. Now realize it doesn't mean that all the Jets players are great. It just means that they're pretty much, we think we know what they are. Doesn't mean they're good. In fact, the Jets are thought to be a very weak team. But we're pretty sure, I guess, a lot of confidence that they are fairly weak players. So don't confuse, right, uncertainty with the best and worst of the team and the players. It just gives you an idea of the confidence you should have in that. And so I figured out the scaled levels from high to low from the team averages here. So anything minus is a little bit more confident. Anything plus is a little less confidence in those players. So again, good tiebreakers here. If I'm picking, Kansas City at 0.6 versus a Jets player, I'm going to lean towards the depth at Kansas City. I'm a little bit more confident, or actually probably actually less confident than in the Jets. But you've got the rate by how good they are, right? So you've almost got to throw in both metrics to have a little bit deeper understanding here. So just allow you to think about that. I scaled it or visualized it this way: high uncertainty. So I guess the higher gambles will be here, the lower gambles will be there. But if they're crappy players, I don't care if they're a low gamble or not, if they're not going to get me any points. So see, this has a little bit more bite to it, this metric. This metric will not stand alone. It's just something you add on with ADP and the rankings that I have to make a deeper opinion. So this is really in depth here. But it's just good to kind of think about, especially to me. I mean, if you look here, I'm not sure these teams are much different, right? I look at the extremes here, and that's what I think we could probably hang our hat on, is more the extremes than near the average, right? So I would probably not try to slice and dice mainly in this circle here. I don't think you're going to get a lot out of that. I think the extremes are telling you something here. So I then apply my rankings with the uncertainty levels and place them in a column. So this is the team defenses using the FFPC data, and the number one team defense is predicted to be right now, this is mid-June, Washington. But that metric 103, which is a great metric, there's some possibility that it's a little risky, I guess, or a little bit more of a gamble, such as the Rams at 100. Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay are medium. So the safest high-ranked defense is said to be Baltimore and San Francisco, right? You may not get the higher points that could be from Washington, but you settle for fairly good team defenses that are thought to be a lot, let's just say, safer. So depending on your personality type, use this to make kind of your draft notes a little bit and think about how you would proceed here. So just be aware, if you're a gambler, then Washington or the Rams may be the way to go. If you're a little bit more conservative player, Baltimore and San Francisco may be the way to go. They're nicely ranked, both in the top 6, but the uncertainty it is different. And of course, you can see what the bottom of the teams are. And again, this is not my ratings. This is the FFPC rankings here. This is how those people, as an aggregate, okay, wisdom of the pros, the wisdom of the high stakes players is shown here. Here is the place kickers. Harrison Buckner from KC is the best and has the lowest uncertainty at being the best. So he's got a double X there. You want to invest in him. Tucker, Zerline, and Koo, nice, but they have more uncertainty. Tyler Bass from Buffalo, but has high uncertainty. Jason Sanders, pretty safe. So you can make your place kick selections accordingly. This is what, again, the players are seeing. QB, Mahomes is off the charts at 150 on a scale of 100. He is so skewed by these pros, maybe even too much skewed. And that probably plays into the medium uncertainty. Okay, but 150, Allen and Lamar Jackson are the next top 2, but they're high in uncertainty. Murray is medium, and Dak Prescott is thought to be the highest quarterback in the top, top 5? And has the lowest uncertainty, assuming he's healthy. And you can look at the the rest of the list here. The pros really love Trevor Lawrence. He's, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14th quarterback. But he has low uncertainty. So they know he's going to be the best rookie quarterback. Low uncertainty, but he's not highly ranked. Okay? So just be aware of that. The balance between uncertainty and rankings there. Lower quarterback. So if you're in a 2 QB league, you can use these to fish for second or third QBs. And again, this is the FFPC aggregate view. Running backs, Cook and McCaffrey, pretty much the same. Low uncertainty. Kamara's got a little bit more. Derrick Henry's the fourth, but is thought to have the highest uncertainty. So be aware that if your fourth pick, Saquon Barkley or Taylor, the pros say probably as good as Henry, and they're safer. And you can look through here. Well, they really like Najee Harris, but high uncertainty here. So think about, your picking there and using this as a way to gauge your draft capital. So you can go through here. You can mark off in 12ths if you want to look at the RB1s and 2s. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let me say Aaron Jones is the highest of the RB2s, that kind of thing. So just start gauging your plays here according to this. Notice that ranking-wise, they're very close together. The pros, even though they'll squawk loudly if they have their own platform, when you really look at what they're saying as a group, they're really pretty close on each other. There's not wide disparity here that you might predict, and that's the nature of the running backs there in this platform. Very intriguing to me. Here's depth. You can look. Continue. So again, I've got these figures in the article. You can take some more time. Here's the bottom of the barrel here. So if you're looking for deep plays, I guess these are the deep plays. Tight ends, Kelsey, Waller, Kittle, all thought to be high uncertainty. Kelsey is 267. Remember, this is a tight end premium league, and they are heavily skewing, one would say, potentially overbuying Kelsey. They don't even realize it. This is what the data says, and this is how it turns out to be. They're skewed. Pitts, boy, they have high expectations. He's your number 4. Hawkinson's number 5. Andrews number 6. Interesting. They really love Pitts. I would be cautious. Hawkinson's their safest choice in the top 5. Fant's also safe in your, top 8. So you can use these to plan your strategy. I think it's kind of neat. Here's some depth plays. And the tight ends really fall fall off the earth pretty quick here. After about Hooper, it really drops quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're half the ranking in 5 below Hooper. That's how bad it gets. So it's a steep decline after that. It's not a subtle decline. The carpet is pulled out from under the tight ends at about the 50 percentile mark. At least that's how the pros are seeing it. So some people, oh, these are sleepers. Well, hard to see sleepers with this kind of uh, rankings here. Not sure who the sleepers are. Wide receivers, Hill and Diggs, all above, both of them above 100. Hill has high uncertainty because the quarterback had high uncertainty. Diggs, medium uncertainty. Devontae Adams has high uncertainty. DeAndre Hopkins, Metcalf, Jefferson, Thomas, and Keenan Allen, all in the top 10 and thought to be the most safest of the top wide receivers there. And you can see how this goes. And you can follow the rounds of wide receivers and judge accordingly here. Just again, like if you're picking between Godwin and Evans, if you're a gambling type, you go Evans. If you like to play it safe, you go Godwin. Even though they're very close together, but the uncertainty is quite different. That's how I use this, is how I approach, the game here. I guess if you're putting up a lot of money, you need to decide, do you want to play it safe or gamble? Probably at some positions you're going to have to decide, I'm going to have to go for it or not. This uncertainty level can help you with that. I would say I wouldn't gamble with everybody. I would probably have some safe plays and some more risky plays, calculated. Let's not say risky, because that means we understand everything. Let's call it calculated plays. So definitely use this before you jump in and think about it. You can definitely, in the mock drafts, use this and just kind of get a feel for some of the picks you may have to make here. Mock drafts are your friend. Here's some depth here with the wide receivers. You can see the safe and the more unsafe or the higher uncertainty plays. You can go through that. And you can look at the rankings as the pros are seeing it. And you can continue that journey. I don't know if there's any players in here that are deep sleepers at this point. I don't think the pros are seeing it, or they'd be higher. So that's my 10-cent tour of the rankings versus uncertainty levels. I give you a little bit about teams, a little bit about overall uncertainty levels in the teams. Part 2 and 3 is going to get a little depth into draft patterns in part 2. In part 3, I'm going to look team by team. So we're going to use these rankings and uncertainty and go team by team to get some depth here on your team plays. Okay, because a lot of people like to draft from certain teams that, I don't, if that's worked for you, go for it. And we'll cover that in part 3. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is Dr. Bush with The Process. This is your FFPC ADP analysis, part 1. Come back for 2 and 3 soon.